Hello, hello, and welcome into the next episode of Between the Hedges. Thank y'all for tuning in, whether it's now or in the future. What is up tonight, guys?
Hello, hello.
What's up? Another Georgia dub. So
And a
good
big
weekend.
one at that.
Much needed, to say the
Very
least.
much needed. And guess what? He's back.
He who shall be named is Carson Beck, is back. At least it looks like. And yeah, in a big way. Zero turnovers, three total touchdowns, almost 350 passing. Um,
Just round up.
yeah. So that was a much needed win, although didn't come without some stress there in the first half, at least on my part. I don't know about y'all. But I was like, the way the first quarter started, I was like, oh no, here we
First
go again.
quarter, first quarter was not not there, but definitely got dialed in for sure. And eventually, when it when in doubt, went 31-7 after losing trailing 10-0. So I say that's
So now
a
you play the whole 60 minutes.
yep. They got out hot and they just couldn't maintain it, and then we got plays into action, and then we started getting hot and we didn't let go.
It looked
What
eerily.
do you guys I got a question for each of you, and you can both take a turn and answer. What do you feel the turning point of that game was last night?
Ooh,
Because like you said, they started out, stopping us on defense. Their defense was stopping our offense. I think our first two or three drives were all three and out.
mm-hmm.
So they had a good plan to start off with and all that good stuff. And our defense was doing decent, but their first drive, they pretty much just drove it down our throats and took
Yeah.
the 7-0 lead. And then our defense, we gave them decent field position, but we held them and they kicked the field goal to make it 10-0. And like you said, I mean, you were thinking, oh boy, here we go. Is this going to happen at home? But what do you think was the turning point that,
I'll take a
because from that point on, we like you just said, we outscored them 31-7 the remaining part of the game, three quarters of that game. That's no that's a dang good team too. That
yeah.
we did that too. I mean, let's not, dismiss that part of it and give them credit. They've got a good team.
They do.
And
They're a few more players away from, you know,
oh, I don't know if
flip
that's
it.
the case.
It's
I think they can go far just the way they're built. We just
No,
have a good
I'm just
plan.
saying, I'm just saying against us, there are a few more players away.
I
I
I
don't know
don't
if it's players. I think it's scheme between I think we're just a bad matchup for them right
Yeah.
now. The difference right now between Kirby's scheme and Josh Heupel's scheme on offense, and until he adjusts and makes some changes to what he does schematically with their offense, because I mean, there's no. I mean, they've yet he's 0-4. Josh Heupel is against Kirby as a head coach. He's lost all four games that he's coached against Georgia. Georgia's won 8 in a row now against Tennessee. But just taking Josh Heupel as 0-4, and his teams as prolific as they've been on offense through his entire tenure as their coach. He's yet to score 20 points on a Georgia defense. I think they're averaging like 18 points a game against us or something like that.
You saw that stat earlier with them. Um, and it showed the last uh 8 matchups. In
Mhm.
2020, they scored 21, but
Yeah, so
every other one was 17, 10, 13, 17, 14, 12, and back in 2017, a
2020,
goose
it
egg.
wasn't Josh Heupel. 2020 wasn't Josh Heupel, though. That's the difference.
I'm just saying, like, out of all 8.
Right. But since Josh Heupel's been there, they've scored 17, 13,
15.
10, and 17.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever that averages out to be, but still, I'm just curious. Going back to my question, what do you guys think the turning point of the game was?
I got an answer. So
See if it's the
I
same answer as me.
I will go with the Carson Beck scramble in the red zone on our fourth or fifth drive, whichever one we scored the touchdown on first, the
His
first touchdown.
rollout.
So instead of, he
Are
he
you
kind of,
talking about the one where he broke 3 or 4 tackles and got a first down and then ran over the DB, put his shoulder down and ran him,
Uh,
basically trucked him?
yes.
mhm.
From that moment forward, he had confidence just oozing out of him, and it went through the entire team, and they all just took that on, and it was like, we're here. This is our home turf. We're winning this game.
What is your thought, Matthew? Do you agree with that? Or do you think it's a different play or whatever the turning point?
Was that before Oscar Delp's first touchdown?
Yeah, I
Hmm.
believe so.
That scenario? Okay. Because I was gonna say Oscar Delp's touchdown, but
Oh, that
uh,
first touchdown to Doster Dell, my God, that throw was amazing.
it was a dart.
I mean,
That
that is an
and
NFL
it's
throw
perfect. Per
every which way. That's an NFL throw, and that's the reason why he's going to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, that throw was ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with that. When he made that scramble and got that first down, and then trucked that I think it was the safety, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Um, I would s- I would honestly say our defense was the turning point when they started clicking too.
I don't know.
Like
I my
I know
my
both sides were going after it. Like both sides were clicking, but I think our defense clicked a little sooner for our offense to click and move that ball to score that first touchdown.
the play I was thinking was the one Micah said. That's some people were saying that one throw where he drew them off sides one of the first times, and it was a third
Yes.
down play, and it ended up going for like 38 yards to
Hmm.
what's his face?
Humphreys, right?
No, Ben number 6.
Love it.
Dominic Levitt. Um
Mhm.
some people were saying that play because he got them to jump and he just ripped it through it. It was a little into some traffic, but thank God Lovett made the play on that one and held on to it, and it turned into a big, almost 40-yard play. And I could see that being an argument, but the play where he
Mhm.
scrambled, he broke 2 tackles in the backfield, got out of the
Nasty.
pocket, and just ran and showed his athleticism, and then just truck that dude at the end to get 2 or 3 extra yards. From that
Mhm.
point on, I think that vibe just went through the stadium. It went through the team, and they weren't having nothing that the orange people were doing from that point forward. I mean, he gained confidence from that. I think that got the juices flowing really for him. That contact that he delivered, and he was a different player from that point forward. I think he was a little frustrated in
Mhm.
that first quarter, because he
He had
was
a
seeing some of the same things happen where guys were dropping passes. I mean, this first play that we had the ball in the opening play of the game, we go deep to Arian Smith, and it was right there. And he didn't hang on to it. He just didn't hang on to it. So
I will say too, a couple other things like key points for that game. I would say one, I don't know if y'all caught this, but we swapped up our offensive line. We swapped different players on different sides, and I think that really helped as well. And
That
two,
was
we
more out of
kept,
necessity because guys were hurt.
yeah, but still, I
But
mean,
yeah, that made a
from where it
difference.
was at Ole Miss to where it was last night,
Well,
complete 360, like
complete,
totally
yeah,
different.
complete. It's unreal. But to piggyback on that point, we didn't substitute on the offensive line all night either. We put the
Right.
five that started out there, they
And
stayed out
the
there
whole
the
game.
entire game. We didn't substitute on offensive line like we normally do. And I think that helped them have some continuity as the game went on. Go ahead, Matthew. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And I know you're good. And then the second one was keeping Pierce uh kind of kept Pierce away from everything. Like he only had 3 tackles last night,
I
and
think
one
he
of them
had
was
as
a tack.
many offside penalties as he did tackles.
Exactly. Exactly. We drew a lot of offsides. And even when we were on defense, we caused some false starts on them as well. Like last night, it was back to how Georgia should have been um,
Hey,
before past
one other
couple
point.
games
Yeah, one other point. Shout out to the 93,000 fans that showed up and showed out in that game. Like
and
that was
stayed the
an
whole game,
amazing atmosphere from what you could tell on TV. And
just like
God
this.
help us, we need more night games in Sanford Stadium. My gosh, it just
Please.
makes such a difference in the atmosphere, and everybody's just keyed up, and they made their presence known. That's the reason why they had so many false starts,
Hmm.
and they just made life difficult for Tennessee's offense, and it showed.
Well,
The only thing,
this was eerily similar to the last time they came into town ranked number one. They
Minus the
came
rain.
right, but they were ranked higher than us this time. They came in, with they were lead, tied for first in the SEC. They were at that point when they came in a couple of years ago, they were leading the East, so it's like, and they scored their first on their first drive. And then after that, it was almost like Matthew said, it was a combination of the defense getting stops. And then, like I said, Carson Beck showing that he can actually run the freaking ball and showing some confidence and just being a leader, which is what we've been calling for all season. He did that reminded me a lot of a Stetson Bennett type game.
He's back.
So, and that's what everybody can pick it apart and say, oh, it's just what works at Georgia or what works, for Kirby's teams. But no, it's just really good quarterback play, and it's having moxie, and it's having a chip on your shoulder, and it's not being this pretty boy, and you know,
uh he was more decisive
yes.
last night. That made the biggest difference. When he decided I got to run, he ran and he put it all on the line. When he decided this is where I need to throw the ball, I mean, he ripped it. I mean, that throw, like you said, his first touchdown pass.
so
Oh
nasty.
my Lord. I just can't
Like
talk about that enough, how beautiful
it
that
was
throw
so
was.
perfect. It led him, not one
Over the
led him
linebacker.
over the linebacker, over almost over the
That is
second
it.
defender that was behind him almost.
Well,
It it felt like it was
Still
overthrown, but at the same time
still
it
was
led him.
within the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was
it was
still
just
plenty of
perfect.
room
It was
for Oscar Delp to score. It was just ugh,
and
it
then
was good.
I don't
the
think there are many
last
many players that can actually make that throw playing the game of football currently. There's not many players that are capable of making that throw.
yeah, and then the last point out of all of this that probably makes the most sense, but it doesn't make any sense that we haven't been doing this. The use of the tight ends. I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, welcome to the party.
yeah, like where have y'all been all season? Thank you. And
Mike
I
Bobo, what are you
Uh,
doing?
and I think it
all
had to
right,
do with
here we
the scheme and wanting to use them and then them being open and running the right routes. And so it's just all of that.
Did Mike Bobo actually have a revelation last
catching
night
the
to
ball.
use our freaking tight ends?
I think
Like,
I
so.
mean,
holy
it's
cow!
just the way.
When you use tight
Well,
ends
you've
in
got to
this,
take what the defense gives you, and obviously they weren't concerned about our tight ends, and we took full advantage of it last night.
Well,
But
why should they be?
we
They've done nothing all year.
coming into they haven't done nothing, but coming into an average for the trio
Uh-oh.
of Delp, Yursek, and Lawson Lucky, they averaged through the first 9 games per game 3 catches, 45 yards. Okay. Last
Yeah.
night they had 10 catches, 130 yards between the three of them, and 2 touchdowns, both for Delp, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
So yeah,
So yeah,
based on the first nine, I don't care. I'm not guarding you.
so well, I mean, whatever they were doing schematically on their defense, it fed right into our plan where we could take advantage of the tight ends, and they made plays. Thank God they made plays because we needed it.
About time.
So,
Well,
but
do we?
a little honorable mention too. How about the tackle our punter made on that punt return?
Yes.
That saved a
Oh my
freaking touchdown, but
gosh.
that was the big boy tackle, man.
Hey, hey.
I mean, that
Punters are
Joker bowed up
athletes.
and put his head in the
Punters are
dirt.
athletes. Punters are athletes. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Punters are athletes.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
a
that
that
was it. That could have been the turning point because if they returned that for a touchdown, it could have been a
I was actually
totally
thinking
different.
about saying that. I was thinking about
So,
saying that because that could have flipped,
but hey,
the whole
I think he
thing.
was just mad that he was actually getting some return yardage against him because he's normally
Hmm.
nobody returns anything that we punt.
He was averaging -8 on
Yeah.
returns,
And then
and
they
that
got
dude
that one, and it
returned it
was
for like
fixing to go
30
for a
yards.
touchdown, and all of a sudden,
Boom.
Yep, that was
Hunters
freaking
are
awesome.
athletes.
honorable mention to the punter. He deserves the little shout out for that play
Hmm.
alone.
No, insane. But
Do we want to get to the results of the picks?
Well, that's what we're here for, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what we like talking about a good game. Have we done it justice?
I think so.
Being keyed up about the big win.
It was just a must win. We haven't been in a must win for quite some time. And we showed it, we proved it, and no, don't step on the brakes. Keep playing like this, even though we're playing UMass and Georgia Tech next 2 games. Let's finish out strong, and let's
We'll be 10-2
hope,
and see
hopefully, fingers
what
crossed, we
happens
could
from there.
possibly get into the SEC championship. Fingers crossed. Still some scenarios happening, and
We got to be Auburn fans. You realize that, right?
hey, just
We
get
need
to the
Auburn to
picks.
win,
Just get to the picks. Just get to the picks.
and
I got some things.
I think we need Florida to win too. So we got to be
Oh,
Gator
Hey,
fans and Auburn
hey,
fans.
they just get to the picks. Just get to the picks. Let's go.
Flor- Florida, Florida already picked up a big win, so
Yep,
Hmm.
they're
that was
doing
the
their
start
part.
of it, right? But that was against LSU.
Hey,
All right,
oh,
here we go. Results time. Here's the report card. Couple of 2-4s, and then Matthew pulls out a 3-3 week
let's go.
to win the week.
Yes, sir.
And as you can see, the big game, Georgia, Tennessee. I took the Volunteers in the points. And I was
What a
right.
shame.
I was right all night long until we scored our last touchdown.
Hey, never back down, never give up.
I
And
figured
then,
we'd win
hey,
the game. I just
and
figured we weren't
also,
going to cover. And this is the first time as a favorite we've covered all
yep.
season.
I was just about to say it's our first time, so
So
me and
it
Micah.
wasn't dumb of me to take Tennessee in the
Hmm.
points.
No, not at all, not at all.
And I was almost right. But we scored one final touchdown. Hey, I'm happy to be wrong about that pick. That means we won by double digits, 14 points. Great.
Yep.
I'll take it all day. Then Texas, Arkansas did the same thing. Arkansas on the points, baby.
Arkansas should have won.
You think they
Texas
should
is
have won
not.
that game?
Texas does not look that good anymore. Ever since they got pummeled by us, they haven't looked good. I
Yeah, I think they're one of the most overrated teams in the country right now.
yeah,
It's just my
I think so
opinion.
too. No.
And you both, I won't, okay. I'll remember that. Okay.
Well, it took
Note that.
them playing the game this way and it looking so bad that we finally said, at least for me, it's because of this
Yeah,
game.
but
Arkansas
y'all,
got blasted by Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Absolutely blasted.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid
And
to play Ole Miss again than I am Texas right now. Georgia will beat the brakes off of Texas again if we play them. I can't say that about Ole Miss, but Ole Miss can't have a repeat perfect performance again. So
hey, trivia time for you. How many wins against top 25 rated teams right now does Texas have? They're 9-1. How many top 25 wins of
0
teams
because they
ranked in
haven't
the top 25 right now?
0 because they haven't played anybody.
That's exactly right. Zero.
Their
The
strength of
only top
schedule is
25
booty
team that they've
cheeks,
even played is us, and they lost at home by 15 points.
and the score wasn't shouldn't have been that close.
yeah,
To co-
they
to counteract that, how many top 25 wins does Georgia have against teams ranked in the top 25 right now?
Who?
3.
oh, I was gonna say four.
Clemson by 31 points.
Oh, I forgot about
Texas
Clemson.
Texas by 15, and now Tennessee by 14.
I
So
forgot
we've
about
beaten
Clemson.
top 25 teams, and we've pretty much murdered them all.
Hmm.
So little caveat, little trivia.
This next one, this Clemson Pitt game, this one pisses me off. Clemson had to be cardiac kids and pull
Oh
it out
my
at
gosh,
the end.
they were winning this game. They were on cruise control, and then somehow they let Pitt score what 2 touchdowns at the end to tie it or take the lead or whatever.
Dang.
They took the lead. It was 17
Yeah,
to or it was they
20
took
20
to
the
to
lead.
17.
17.
They scored 2 touchdowns. It was 17-6.
Yeah.
And they
Hey,
scored they gave up 2 late touchdowns against Pitt.
I think
I tell you
they're
what,
on
Clemson
cruise.
has already peaked if you ask me. When they
Yeah,
were
that I
play
was,
after they lost to us and they started just boat racing people. They
and
did
then
that for
lost
like
again.
5 straight games or 6 straight games or whatever. But then the wheels have started coming off a little bit for them, and they lost, and then they're skimming by, and they're just not they're not playing like they were right after they lost to us.
Not at
But
all.
yeah, that was a tough loss for me and Micah, that's for sure. I agree
Good win for
100%.
me.
You got lucky.
That was the
What you mean?
luckiest. That's the luckiest
I was
backdoor
going
cover
I
ever.
was going for points, bro.
That's the luckiest backdoor
Yeah,
cover
but
I've ever seen in my entire life.
late
That's
Clemson
in
hasn't looked that good.
yeah, but they were killing them all game until the fourth quarter or whatever it was, where they scored those
Right.
late touchdowns.
Yeah,
And it wasn't
Clemson had to
because they
get
made good
lucky.
plays. But anyway,
Clemson had to get lucky and win this
I'm
game.
with you,
If
Micah.
not, Pitt,
That was a little hard pill to swallow right there with the way Clemson gave that up and just farted that game away.
right?
Even though they won, they should have won a lot more bigger margin, if you
against
ask
a
me.
backup quarterback. That makes it even
And
worse.
they basically didn't have an offensive line. Their offensive line was injured, and they had at least two of them go down during the game. On top of that, but anyway,
Hmm.
whatever. It is what it is. It's why I hate ACC football,
Same.
Mhm.
and that's why they're only going to get one team in the college football playoff in the final, rankings or whatever. They're going to be a one bid league, basically, is what I'm saying.
It's gonna
Whoever
be
wins the
SMU.
ACC championship will be the team in the tournament, and that'll be it. There won't be a second one.
It's gonna be SMU the first year, and they're gonna go win the ACC championship.
Maybe so. Then LSU going down to the swamp to play the Gators.
I just want to know
Go
what was
Gators.
your thought process on this, Micah.
Look, both of y'all can't sit here and act like you're holier than thou and that you thought Florida was a good team, okay? Because they're not.
Have you not seen the last two games that LSU has played?
Yeah, I have.
And the
They
last two
just got
games that Florida played too.
Right.
Florida's
and
not the
then
same team they were at the beginning of the year.
But here's the difference. I thought LSU was
And DJ
going
Lagway
to,
was back this week,
yeah, but he was
and that made a big difference.
he showed up. He after we made our picks, he said he was playing. So I'm thinking
Oh, I
DJ's
know.
not playing again. And I'm thinking LSU's got the better quarterback, and they just got throttled by Alabama in a rivalry game, and they've got another rivalry game coming up, and they're gonna bounce back.
I
That's what
got
I
you.
was thinking.
Yeah,
But
you're
di-
right. We didn't know that Lagway was going to be back when we make our picks.
but
But
Lagway came back, and he makes a hell of a difference for that team.
oh
There,
yeah,
it's
he made
night and
all the
day.
difference, even without being able to run like he's capable of. He can throw. He
And
can throw the ball.
and don't act like Billy Napier can coach better than LSU's coach either.
Oh, I don't know. I don't
He
know.
can.
what?
I mean, lately
What?
nothing that Brian Kelly's doing is working, and not is
Brian
not. He's
Kelly.
had no right answers lately.
I could coach better than Brian Kelly. No.
That's not no. That's
No.
no.
Yeah.
I'm,
I
but you
could
This is
can't.
the
outcoach
first
Brian
time in
Kelly.
Brian Kelly, like the last 8 or 9 years that he's been coaching, he won't have a 10-win team.
Right.
That's because
And
he was with Notre Dame, who plays nobody.
And
Of
he
course, you're
still
gonna
won
have
10
10
games a
wins,
year, at least.
but they play nobody. So of course
Okay.
you're gonna have 10 wins. If Georgia had that schedule, we'd be 12-0 every year,
well, and
Well,
and we could play our third string,
the reverse argument of that is that we finally had a tough schedule and look at our record this year.
8-2.
So,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
Florida woke up, got off the mat, and did a number on LSU. And I think that score isn't really as one-sided as that game it really was.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU just couldn't get out of their own way during that game. Most of the time, it's looked like to me.
yeah, I would agree with that. I watched
I
almost
agree.
that whole game. Um, Nussmeier has been having similar struggles to Carson Beck, throwing a lot of picks lately. and he kind of did the opposite. He played very careful and wasn't very decisive. And he didn't,
And it didn't work.
I don't think he threw any picks, but they didn't win the game either. And he didn't help
Yeah.
them win the game.
It
So,
didn't help them win the game, right? And then we get to South Carolina hosting
Gamecocks.
Missouri at home.
hey, I'm going to give y'all
A
both crap about this one. How about that?
well, if South Carolina wasn't South Carolina, they wouldn't have farted this cover
Yeah,
away either because they were
But
kicking the
they were
that's
crap out of Missouri
blowing.
that's why
They
and
were
you don't
well
wait.
on
blowing.
their way to covering this game until they had a bunch of brain farts and let Missouri come back and score and
I
end
was
up taking
watching
the
this whole
lead
game.
just like Clemson. Clemson and South Carolina both trash
Farted.
trash from South Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If South Carolina's favored by more than 10 points, take the other team. That's crazy.
Well, it wasn't looking too crazy halfway through the third quarter.
Dude, Missouri sucks booty hole.
They
They
should have won the
they should
game. What do you
no, they
mean?
shouldn't have.
Yeah, they should have.
South Carolina
South Carolina.
scored with 15 seconds left.
Yeah, South
Hey,
Carolina had to
was it?
do a
Hey,
drive of like 70
don't
yards in
you
40 seconds to win it.
don't you have to play the whole 60, right?
Yeah, but when you get under
Missouri
a
should have
Oh,
minute,
won that game. I'll
no, they
admit,
shouldn't
even
have.
though I picked South Carolina, Missouri should have won that game.
No, they shouldn't have.
Yeah, they should have.
No,
go look at the
You need to
I
rewatch that game.
I
probability of
watched that game.
victory going into the final
I think the
drive.
lead changed 4 times in the fourth quarter alone.
Yeah, because South Carolina was leading so much after halftime, and then Missouri came back because they had brain farts on the defense, and then fourth quarter was just back and forth because there was no defense either on either side. So it came down to who can score last.
All right.
And here we
Y'all want
go
to know
ahead.
what the probability of victory was before um on the final drive, it's first and 10 and Sellers throws an incomplete pass, 53 seconds left. Y'all want to know what the probability was for Missouri to win?
Hmm.
It was probably 95%.
93.3.
Yep.
53 seconds left. They're up 3. South Carolina just threw an incomplete pass, so now it's second and 10 at their own 30. And then all of a sudden, boom, they go right down the field. They get a couple of first downs, and then it slightly goes in South Carolina's favor, 51.5, because they're at home with the ball on in plus territory. But even
Yeah, I
still,
mean, when they
coin
started that
flip,
drive, all they were trying to do was kick a field goal to tie it and send it to overtime. They weren't
yes.
expecting to score the touchdown and win it, but they got the play to make the touchdown and win it.
So, yeah, you can't sit here and tell me that
Missouri
Missouri's
should have won that game.
no, that Missouri shouldn't have won the game, and that Missouri's booty cheeks because they
They
pushed
are.
Matthew's saying that, not me. I'm agreeing with you.
Missouri.
Missouri should have won that game.
Uh-uh.
So
Not at all.
anyway, South Carolina got lucky and they made the play at the end
They
to
didn't get lucky.
salvage the game that they should have had handily, but they let them get back in it and they should have lost.
That's why you play all 60 minutes.
And then just the crap game of the weekend, if you ask me. Kansas State, Arizona State. I don't even think I want to do any more Big 12 games the rest of the
Yeah,
season.
no more Big 12. I didn't even want to pick. I was just like,
I didn't
whatever.
either. I didn't know anything about this, so I just said, Kansas State, I'll take the favorite. They're at home, whatever. And
well,
then
and
they don't even show up.
here's the other thing about the Big 12. Then BYU screws around and loses to um
Yep. They
who
have
did,
their
South
first
Carolina
loss
Kansas.
now.
or Kansas.
They lost to Kansas, a 3-win team.
Don't look down, but you know who's going to probably win the Big 12 now.
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yep. I like that. They're proving themselves. Deion Sanders is proving himself. He did it at Jackson State. They broke it down. The season before, Jackson State was like 4-8, and then the first season with Dion, they went like 5-7 or 4-8 again, and then the third season they went 11-1. This season, with Colorado, the season before Dion, they went 1-11. And then the first season they went
4 and
Two or
8.
three wins.
It was
they
4 and
went
8.
4-8, and then this year they're 8-2 and ranked.
Yeah, we'll see how they
So
finish. They got to finish.
So to wrap up the results, me and Micah 2-4, Matthew 3-3. As you can see, Matthew stretches his lead in the overall 32-34. I'm
Mm-hmm.
30-36, and then Micah's bringing up the rear 24-42, baby.
Yep.
So,
Too
so we
many of
ready to get
those.
into this week's rankings?
Yeah.
Show.
Boom. Read them and weep, baby.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Georgia all the way back up to 3, huh?
3.
Yes, sir. We're the best team in
Oh,
the SEC. We are the best team in the SEC.
haven't played Texas A&M.
Okay, we might get that chance later on, but we're still the best team, and
I
I can back it up.
I agree with that. It kind of goes along with my Texas being overrated take. Um,
Okay, but if that's your take, why do y'all both have them at 3 then? If they're
because
overrated,
because
this is supposed to be your ranking, not what you think is right about the AP or the coach's poll or the college football playoff rankings or whatever. That's the reason why I
because
moved Georgia back up, because I think Georgia is one of the best teams in the nation. I think we've proven it over the season, even with 2 road losses to 2 teams that are both ranked in the top 10.
because I wasn't going to just automatically say okay, one game because now that's 2 games where Georgia's proven themselves this season. Now I want to see how we finish the season. If we finish
We've
the
proven
season,
ourselves more than twice.
well, out of our 4 toughest games, we're now 2-2. So you would have liked to have seen that be better. Um, but all in all, I agree. I think at the end of all this, Georgia will be the best team in the SEC. But
All right, we've already gone over Texas, right?
as of right
Go ahead,
now,
finish your point
as of right now though, um,
right now. That's what I'm doing
Texas
this on.
has looked more consistent than us all season. They haven't looked better all season, but they've looked more consistent. So I could not
yeah.
just put us up there. And we lost to Alabama. So based on how you've been doing your rankings, Dad, we shouldn't we be behind Alabama?
No, Alabama lost to Vandy.
That can't be the only reason that
Alabama
And
lost to
and
Vandy, and they lost to
and
Tennessee, and we just destroyed Tennessee.
mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, fair enough. Yeah. But
All right,
but
just listen. All right, just hear me out. This is why I've done what I've done. Would you agree that the SEC is the best conference in the nation?
By
yes.
far.
Okay, there are what one, two, three, four, five. There are 5 teams tied right now at 8-2 in the SEC. and then Texas is 9-1. So you got Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M all tied at 8-2. Okay. Texas has no ranked wins. And the only team they've played that's been ranked or that is currently ranked is us. And we beat them by 15 at home, at their place. Like I said, we've got 3 top 25 wins. We got 2 quote unquote good losses. Alabama and Ole Miss, both, like I said, ranked in the top 10. Tennessee has 1 top 25 win. That's Alabama. They've got their 2 losses, Arkansas and us, both on the road. Alabama, they beat us and they beat South Carolina by 2 points at home.
Got lucky in both of those
Okay.
games.
And you're saying they got lucky. And then they lost to Vanderbilt on the road, and they lost to Tennessee on the road by 5 and 7 points each. Then you got Ole Miss. They've got 2 top 25 wins. They beat us by 18. They beat South Carolina by 24.
Sheesh.
So, but ours was at home and South Carolina was at South Carolina. But they lost to Kentucky at home by 3, and they lost to LSU by 3.
Which those losses
Which
are
LSU's
looking,
imploding right now.
yeah, those are looking worse and worse by the week.
Right. And Kentucky hasn't really done much since they beat Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And then you
Those
got
are some-
Texas A&M. Guess how many top 25 wins they've got so far this season? I'll give you a hint. It's the same as Texas. 0. So Texas and Texas A&M, though they statistically right now are leading the SEC, to me they're almost both in the same boat, where they're a little bit of a paper tiger because you don't really know how good they are because they haven't been tested, and they haven't beaten anybody that's currently ranked. And then their losses, they lost to Notre Dame by 10 at home, and they lost to South Carolina by 24 on the road. Texas A&M. So I think Georgia's the best team out of that bunch in the SEC.
Yeah.
I think we've proven it with our tougher record. We're tested. We got more top 25 wins than any of them. And you could pretty much carry this over to, if you want to compare the resume with Big Ten teams too, and do that.
Yeah, and Indiana and Penn State being 2 of them.
Yep.
Exactly.
And Ohio State losing their only game where they've played anybody in the top 10, or that they're 1-1 in top 10 games because they beat Penn State because they were ranked in the top 10.
Beat Penn State, lost to Oregon.
So, yeah, I mean, you bring up a lot of good points.
So Texas is going by that. Texas's best win. Guess who Texas's best win to date is?
Vandy.
Yeah. Exactly. And they didn't look very good that day when they barely beat Vandy.
Vandy should have won that game.
So I mean, that just making my point. So yeah, I put Georgia back up. I probably shouldn't have dropped them as much as I dropped them last week after losing on the road to Ole Miss, but we just looked like crap last week, to be honest.
So let me ask you this, Dad. If you got Georgia at 3, why not bump them to 1 or 2?
Because right now Oregon and Ohio State are both undefeated. Well, not undefeated. I think there's still some Oregon is undefeated. So I think that still carries some weight.
Barely.
It doesn't matter. They're still there have been times where we were undefeated during our regular season and stuff, and we just barely beat Missouri or we just barely beat Kentucky. Sometimes that just happens week to week. You're not going to get up for 12, 13, 14 games every season and win them all by 14, 17,
But
30 points, whatever. So sometimes that just
but
happens during the course of the season.
but we're playing the SEC and barely beating them. They're playing who and barely beating them.
But still, it just happens. So, and I've got respect for Ohio State, what they're doing. I think you're going to learn more about Ohio State and Indiana this week because they're playing each other. Finally, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to have a quote unquote tougher game. Thank goodness for Indiana.
Yep.
You know,
Go in.
if
I'm
Indiana
rooting for
loses this
Indiana.
game against Ohio State, me personally, I don't know that they deserve to make the playoff, even though they might be 11-1
Who,
Yeah,
Indiana?
this will be their only game of the season.
against a top ranked team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they lose it, okay, you played 10 stiffs in Ohio State and you're 10-1. Big whoop.
Yeah. I agree with that, but the playoff predictor says that they're 96% even
Oh, I
losing.
know. I get it, but that doesn't make that predictor to be
Right.
using logic, you know.
And I'm
I
hoping that's where the eye test and logic comes into
Hopefully the
play.
committee will start doing some of this themselves and, making some of these judgments
But
with logic.
Like Kirby said after the game, he's like, I don't know what they're looking for anymore. And I agree with
Exactly.
him. Because like
Yeah.
Georgia being 12 and then the first team left out because of the stupid tiebreaker crap and the group of five
Yeah.
automatic BS and
Stupid.
like
So,
yeah,
yeah,
You
I
that
agree. That was
do you not want the 12 best teams to play in your playoff that you just
Well, when you're
promoted?
including a representative from the Big Five or whatever they call it, I don't know, the Group of Five, whatever,
mhm.
you're not asking for the 12 best teams. No.
No, you're not.
When you're
And
giving
if
them an automatic bid every year, when you're giving the
Stupid.
ACC an automatic bid, when you're giving the Big 12 an automatic bid, I'm sorry,
yeah,
no, you're not asking for the 12 best teams. It's a farce
instead
I
because,
don't.
instead of just ranking them 1 through 12 best to last. Yeah.
and when
Is
you're given the conference champions, the only reason they're giving conference champions the top four seeds is because they want to continue to say that, winning the conference makes you the
Some
better
say.
team, but sometimes a second or third place team in a conference is better than another conference's champion. And I mean that gets
And
played out in the playoff. I mean, I'm
that's
sure we'll probably see it this year when it all shakes out.
you might have
I,
the
I,
SEC champ Texas or Texas A&M lose to Georgia or Alabama, who was second, third, fourth.
mhm.
Or I'm
That's
thinking you
why
might
I'm.
have you might have Georgia or Ole Miss, which didn't even make the SEC championship, playing the ACC champion Miami or the Big 12 champion Colorado or Arizona State, and it won't even be a contest.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Those champions go out in the first round. Whatever.
That,
We'll see
that-
how it
that's
shakes
why
out.
that's why I've uh, been thinking a lot. I mean, that yeah, it'd be nice for Georgia to make it to the SEC championship because I mean, that says something that has a little, um, seniority. If you make it there or win it, it's nice. But I think the best thing for Georgia is just to win out their games and let the other games do the talking. And then we host a game and just prove ourselves and play
Yeah, I
four
mean
games.
there's definitely
And
an argument for that. My question
and
for Matthew, though, talking about Georgia, is after beating Tennessee, you have Georgia down 3 this week.
Yeah, so
You
with
had them
this,
ranked 5th after last week losing to Ole Miss, and they beat Tennessee, and you have them down to 8.
Yeah, I messed it up last week. But
Or do you think
uh,
you should have dropped them further last week
hmm
than what you
yeah,
did?
hmm
See, I disagree. I think you should have at least kept them where you had them last week after beating Tennessee.
The only reason why I did that is because Alabama and Ole Miss is above them, and those are our two losses. So I'm basing it off that, and then the top five, I matched that with the AP poll, and I
Yeah, I
kind of
noticed that
agree.
too. Indiana popped in yours that you didn't even have them ranked
Mm,
last week, and they're
I
fifth.
yeah, I could. I mean, I kind of agree with their top five, not necessarily like based off of who's better. Um, but my top two never changed, or top three never changed. Penn
Your
State
top
and
four didn't
Indiana.
change.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, top
And
four
Yeah.
never changed. It's just what I did is I liked based off the AP poll. I know that doesn't really matter anymore because of the playoff rankings, but based off the AP, I like the top five. I really do. And then 6 through 11, I did it based off of Georgia's losses. And that's why I have
I
them at
got you.
8 and dropped them to 8. Yes, I
Well,
did
see, Tim,
rank
if
them.
your top five matches the AP top five, if that's correct, I think three or four of those are we don't really know much about those teams. At least three of them, and I'm including Texas in that
Yeah. I mean,
because of like what I
it,
just said. I
and,
mean,
and,
Texas has
again,
had, if there is a such thing as an easy SEC schedule, Texas has
no,
had
they
it this
haven't. They've
year.
had an
It
easy,
being the
no,
first time in the league, they hit the bonanza.
they had an easy schedule. That you can, there's no lightly saying that. They had an easy schedule for sure going into the SEC. And they're kind of nonchalant with it, and they haven't really proven themselves, and they had an easy schedule. Yes, they're 9-1, but like we're all saying, they haven't won a top 25 matchup or top 10 matchup against anybody. They haven't truly been tested other than Georgia, and you see what Georgia did to them. So if you put them up against anybody else on this list, what are they going to do?
we'll see.
Like they haven't proved themselves, and then this is obviously going to change for all three of us because Indiana and Ohio State are about to play this weekend, this coming up weekend,
And
and then
I think the loser drops out of the top 12.
I think so too. I
Get out
think
of
so
here.
too.
Like,
Yep. And
and then
then I almost wanted to pull Oregon out because yes, they've barely won and they're undefeated, but Oregon Oregon is playing. They're what in the Big 12 or Big
oh,
10?
Big Ten.
Big 10. They that conference is got like two or three teams in it. Hmm.
It,
I
it,
I know
mm,
we talked about it earlier that it's just yeah, Georgia barely won against Missouri and barely won against Kentucky, but that's SEC football. It's gonna be hard. And all the games actually matter. Whereas this conference in the Big 12, nah, I don't think
But Matthew,
those
you've
games.
got four Big Ten teams in your top five, and you're saying the Big Ten's not that good.
That's just solely based off their record.
I
That
got you.
wasn't that wasn't anything to do with how they've done or anything. It's just solely based off record.
Well, see, to wrap all this up, that's the reason why this week I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to look at the other rankings or, whatever. This is going to be my rankings. This is what I think. So
That's what I'm gonna do next week.
that's the reason why I did it the way I did it.
Yeah,
Next week I'm going to actually do my ranking.
yeah, I think the final two, was it two or three rankings we have, um, we should all not look at that and not look at the AP poll and give our rankings and then look at the AP poll because it'd be interesting to see how different it would look. So,
So
Whew. That was a good one.
but that was another good week of games. I mean, I know we did have a couple of cupcake games, but we didn't talk about those and we don't care about those. We talked about the six real games of the week.
and evidently we got more of those cupcake games this weekend too,
Yeah.
And Georgia's in,
including Georgia, including Georgia.
which we're always going to pick the Georgia game, but it's almost like, why?
Well, the point is the point to this one this week. Yes, we'll pick that game. It will be included. It's going to be the point spread,
Yep.
and will we cover it or not?
I want to see what we opened as
Yeah,
already.
give us the early line on Georgia UMass.
It's going to be something
Georgia,
stupid.
UMass.
Isn't that who we're playing, UMass?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want to guess it?
I'm going to say we are favored by 43 points.
Matthew?
Wow. I'm looking at it. So
43 and a half.
I promise I did not look at it. I guessed.
And the total is 56 and a half. So they're saying that we should win
Like
44.
45-6 or 45-3 or something,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which
Which,
I can definitely see that happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
it better happen.
It doesn't matter a hill of beans if it does or doesn't.
Right.
I mean, you want to look good as long as we go out there and we take care of business and we don't get anybody hurt. That's what's important because we got quote unquote bigger fish to fry.
Yep.
Yeah, can't look ahead. Got to win these next two games, and I'm with Matthew. Rest up, get 3 weeks off. Don't play in the SEC championship game. Host your first playoff game, and then go on a roll. Go on a run.
Yep.
That's what I want to see.
Rest up, get healthy, and show them why we're the best team in the nation.
The country. All right.
Well,
Well, I
good.
will get you this week's games for the pick 'em probably Tuesday.
All right.
And we'll meet again Friday. Hey, I was gonna say maybe we consider moving our Friday to Thursday moving forward. We can talk about it off when we're done if you want to, but I was gonna bring up that point. See what you guys thought about maybe moving it to Thursdays instead.
We'll talk about it. But thanks for tuning in tonight, y'all. We do appreciate it, and glad to be back. Thanks, Dad, for filling in yesterday. Doing
Yeah, I
the
gave a pretty weak effort yesterday morning, I think,
Yeah, you did.
wasn't bad.
but at least I
But
did it.
yeah, at least it was
Yeah.
done, and everybody got to see our picks before they saw the results because then they can be like, "You frauds." So anyway,
Yeah, I was fraudulent with my 2-4 week. If I was fraudulent, I wouldn't have been 2-4.
Right.
this is true. So, but good stuff tonight. Everybody have a great week. We will be back on again later this week, whether it is Thursday or Friday. We'll talk about that, and then we always want you guys to, if you like what we're doing, like it, share with 5 or 10 of your friends. Definitely turn on notifications because as you just heard, our schedule changes. So We may just pop up on your screen, at a random time. So be ready for that. We do always want to bring you the breaking news when we get it, if there is any. So um, thank y'all, and I hope everybody has a great week and a great night. And as always, go dogs.
Go Dogs!
Go dogs.